We are pleased to welcome Mr. Rick Cotton, Executive Director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and Kevin O'Toole, the Chairman of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Thank you, gentlemen.
Welcome to be here.
Thank you.
People hear the Port Authority. Come on, what do they do? How much do they run and control? Go, Kevin.
It's the engine that could. So with the capital plan, we're looking at $32 billion, which is going to grow to maybe $37 billion. You're talking about creating over 200,000 jobs. You're talking about $20 billion in wages, $57 billion added to the economy in other related fields.
Where do you guys run? Put that in perspective. It's not just the George Washington Bridge, the Lincoln Tunnel. What else?
No, it's the seaport. We run the Hudson River crossings, the 2 tunnels, and the George Washington Bridge, and the 3 bridges that go from New Jersey to Staten Island. We run the major airports, in fact, including Teterboro. So we've got Newark, we've got LaGuardia, we've got JFK. And we run PATH. And all of those are huge economic engines for the region.
Right before we got on the air, we were talking about the Bayonne Bridge. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, quick numbers, Steve. Airport, 138 million passengers, record numbers. Ports, 7 million TEUs, record numbers. TEUs. You explain the TEUs.
Those are standard size containers. It's a measure of the number of containers that come in during
Rick, I knew that. I just wanted to see if you knew.
Yeah, me too. Second highest grossing port right now is ours right now.
The second highest in the nation. First is
Los Angeles. Historically, the second has been Long Beach, California for the last 2 decades. Based on our growth, we just passed Long Beach and we're now the second busiest.
Other numbers, 81 million passengers at PATH, 120 million vehicles, bridges and tunnels, 76 million passengers at the Port Authority bus terminal. This is huge. These are huge movers of people and vehicles.
But let's be honest about what it costs to do this. And by the way, the Port Authority is one of the supporters of what we do at the Caucus Educational Corporation. I want to put that out there, but I want to be clear on this. Not only has there been a recent toll increase, right, to fund some of these projects and others, which we'll talk about in a second, but let's be honest about what it really costs to do this. You and I had an offline conversation the other day, and I said, how realistic are most citizens, consumers, and others who want great service? You deserve it. But what it costs to keep this infrastructure not just going, but where it needs to be as we move forward.
Well, first of all, people want world-class infrastructure. They want buses that work,
yes, we do.
Trains that work, bridges that are safe, tunnels that are safe. Those things cost
By the way,
money. Airports that are safe.
New Jersey Transit. I just want to clarify.
No, we do not.
No, just want to clarify. Pick it up.
No, and those things cost money. The interesting thing about the Port Authority, it does not rely upon subsidies from either state, doesn't rely upon tax increases, or it is self-funded.
Self-funded, meaning the dollars come from?
Means it come from 2 sources. One is 2/3 of the money. We do this. We focus as much as we can on getting it from commercial businesses who are doing business with us on our facilities, non-toll, non-fare. But we also have to generate, in terms of continuing our capital investment and our operations, from tolls and fares. And so the increases built into our commercial relationship, we increase the fees to people every single year. We haven't had a fare increase on PATH since 2014. We haven't had a toll increase on the tunnels since 2015. The air trains have never had an increase in the 15 years that they've been in business. So we're catching up.
Why the toll increase now?
Well, because the board voted in 2008 and 11 to have...
The Port Authority board?
Oh, yeah. What you're seeing now, it's being proposed, starting in 2008 and 11, what the Port Board said, when the CPI reaches a certain dollar, the tolls will go up automatically. In 2017, the board, when Rick and I were not there, voted for a capital plan that relied upon additional revenues and enhancements to fund this $32 billion.
We're talking about the George Washington Bridge, Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel. By the way, there's an op-ed that was put in. This is a Star Ledger. You can get it online at NJ. Well, I don't know if you can get it online or not, but I know it's on the print side.
No, you can't get it online.
You can't? You can't?
You cannot.
Well, this is in the Star Ledger. I'm looking at Tuesday, from a couple Tuesdays ago, before we're taping this. The two of you put this in there, this op-ed piece, and I don't know if you wrote the headline. It says, Degnan, the former chair, John Degnan's galling hypocrisy of PA plan. What does that mean?
Well, we didn't write the headline, but here's the reality.
Right, but there's a message here.
The former chairman had criticized, with the Star Ledger's, I guess, cooperation, that the capital plan was in somehow being irresponsible. The reality is it was Chairman Degnan who put this capital plan together in 16, voted for it in 17, before Rick and I were even on the board.
And what did he say publicly?
It's irresponsible and it's unreasonable to expect some of these revenue enhancements on the users. He created this plan. He voted for this plan. He got support in New York and New Jersey for this plan, and that was never reported by the Ledger. And they never even reached out to us for comment.
By the
or
way, we're going to
clarification.
touch base with our colleagues at the Ledger to just clarify this, and I'm also curious as to why it was not online. We'll try to find that out as well. Let's do this. The Bayonne Bridge. People say, oh, Bayonne. It's not a big deal in terms of economic development. Make it clear. What has happened there? What's the improvement, and how does it affect the economy?
Well, look, there are two pieces to the Bayonne Bridge. One is the roadway was raised by more than 100 feet, extraordinary engineering achievement. But the reason was to allow these new ultra-large container ships coming through the widened Panama Canal to be able to access the New Jersey ports. And that's what's happening. More ships are coming into the port, these ultra-large ships, and they're staying at the port longer, and they're putting us in a much better competitive position to have cargo that coming in not only for the New York and New Jersey arena, but where we can transship it by rail to the middle of the country.
Out to Chicago and whatnot. So two things. So when you
Jobs?
Huge amount of jobs. I mean, first of all, the Bayonne Bridge costs about $1.7 billion.
Correct.
In its rebuild. We are going to get billions of dollars more in revenue and jobs by allowing the additional supermaxes to come in and bring us as hopefully the #1 port in the country. Will allow us to compete with the West Coast to be able to push out our exports or the resources out to the Midwest and beyond. Huge economic engine.
I want to be clear on this. We bring up the Gateway Tunnel a lot. That is not your project, but it is impacting one of your facilities, no?
Well, we're working in very close cooperation with an entity called the Gateway Development Commission, which is...
Is that Zarrow?
That is, the chair is Jerry Zarrow.
By the way, check out our website. You'll see the interview with Jerry Zarrow. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So that commission, which has just actually been legislatively supported by the legislatures of both New Jersey and New York, will become the sponsoring organization and is organizing the support. But the key here is the federal government and the two states entered into an agreement to share 50-50 the cost of building a new tunnel, the single most urgent infrastructure project in the country.
Isn't there the federal money, too?
Well, they're supposed to be. And
is
this
there
project,
right now as we speak, Rick?
No, there is not. There's not a penny, and the current administration has refused to honor the agreement.
Kevin, respectfully, you're a former state senator, Republican, or happened to be a Republican in the legislature, retired after a distinguished career. You have any sense of what this administration wants to do regarding that tunnel?
Listen, I've retired from politics, so I can't even have the
Forget about politics. Do policy.
Listen, the policy is that there should be federal money and federal subsidies. It's not, so we have to move as if, we have to find some other formula that makes it work. So, and a couple other things, Steve, I know the time is short here. When we talk about what else the Port Authority does, talk about the airports. Talk about what's happening at JFK and LaGuardia and Newark. Here in Newark, we're rebuilding Terminal A, which will be Terminal 1, $2.8 billion. Totally redone. We're going to have a brand new, you've been in Terminal A. Yep. It's a disaster. So in a short 18 months, it'll be totally rebuilt. There's another $35 million.
2 seconds, go ahead.
$35 million being, for planning purposes, for a new Terminal B, which is antiquated, and by the next decade, hopefully we'll have another terminal. Those are drivers of the economy as well.
Yeah, good stuff. Important. Listen, this is Rick Cotton on my right, Kevin O'Toole on our left, the chairman and the director of the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. 1921 pact between the two states came together to create this entity. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Steve.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been provided by Atlantic Health System, NJIT, TD Bank, United Airlines, Choose New Jersey, Community Food Bank of New Jersey, and by the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Promotional support provided by NorthJersey.com and Local IQ, and by Insider NJ. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.